Labour and John McDonnell are plotting to sabotage Brexit. Image, Getty. The Shadow Chancellor, who is an arch-Remainer, suggested his party were preparing to change or send back regulations, which ministers are hoping to rush through Parliament to prepare for a clean break from the EU if a deal is not secured. A senior Tory source said the plan intended to wreck no-deal preparations in an attempt to collapse the government. Speaking on Thursday ahead of Philip Hammond's upcoming budget, Mr. McDonnell implied Labour wanted to change legislation to build in greater rights for workers and consumers. The Remainer, sporting a black eye and bruises he sustained after falling over after getting off a bus on Monday, said, "One of the things you need to look at is the statutory instruments that are now going through on a massive scale. If you remember, they predicted about 800. Some of them are looking like major pieces of almost primary legislation," he added, "that will come out in the budget debate next week, and we'll be looking at how we can use those statutory instruments to highlight the need for greater protections, particularly around employment, environmental and consumer rights. It means trying to get it back onto the floor of the House as much as we possibly can so that members across the House can take a view, rather than just having them nodded through." John McDonnell suggested his party were preparing to change or send back regulations. Image, Getty. John McDonnell implied Labour wanted to change legislation. Image, Getty. It would enable them to be sent back. Former cabinet minister and hardline Brexiteer Priti Patel blasted the Shadow Chancellor's comments. She said, "Labour want to play around with parliamentary procedure for political gain. It will undermine the certainty that the British public and businesses need to see and send completely regressive signals to the EU." During his speech, Mr. McDonnell also claimed Chancellor Philip Hammond was dreading a budget delivered on Halloween, and called on Prime Minister Theresa May to stand by her pledge and end austerity. Mr. Hammond will announce his annual budget next week, armed with better-than-expected public finances, but needing to balance any generosity with caution over the massive uncertainty posed by Brexit. During his speech at London's Savoy Place, Mr. McDonnell said, "I also suspect his public relations advisers were dreading the prospect of a budget on Halloween. A trick-or-treat budget was just too much of a reminder of past Hammond budget fiascos. It would be interesting to know what the Prime Minister meant by the end of austerity." John McDonnell claimed Chancellor Philip Hammond was dreading a budget delivered on Halloween. Image, Getty. More importantly, given that the Prime Minister and Chancellor obviously rarely consult each other, it would be even more interesting to know what the Chancellor interprets as the end of austerity. This budget will show us whether she is true to her word or not. We need decisive action to end and reverse austerity, not some vague promises for the future and a few financial conjuring tricks.